Hey guys, Dylan Gu here and welcome to the sound and export portion of this Minecraft animation workshop. We're going to show you exactly how to import your PNG sequence into the timeline for your video sequence editor and add some sound, and then finally export it into an MP4 where you can upload it to YouTube. So we're going to go ahead and go to our video editing workspace by hitting Control left arrow 2 times from the animation workspace, and I'm going to hit Shift left just to bring it to the beginning of the timeline there. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A to add an image right here, or you can hit add image, up to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and navigate to my Blender render files actually, because it doesn't matter what engine you use for this portion of the workshop, and I just so happen to have the Blender render files already done rendering, so I'm going to go ahead and open those by hitting A to select all. Alternatively, you can also just left click one file at the beginning and then Shift Control left click to select a range of files. Also box select works fine too, so up to you. Several different ways to select many files, but if you do select many files, then it will import as an image sequence instead of just an image. So now we have this image strip here that lasts 30 frames, exactly how many frames we imported, and then I can hit Alt A to play it, and as you can see, it's already playing as a video in the top right hand corner and in the preview, so that works fantastically. It looks pretty good too. Our render looks pretty nice. I like how it looks. I like how the lighting looks. The animation is looking pretty smooth as well. So of course the ending there, he kind of stays still, but that's fine. Normally you'd want to animate a little bit more, but that's entirely up to you and what you're trying to go for. And for this, I think that's good enough. So you get the basic idea. We're going to have to add some sound now. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in some sound files from the default Minecraft resource pack. That will give us some stuff that we can play around with, but not everything can be accounted for because the Minecraft game files only account for certain actions. But we want to add some extra actions. For example, some movement from the character that Minecraft usually doesn't have. Maybe some stabbing of the cake, which Minecraft also doesn't usually have. But we are going to want to add some water, some ambience, and some extra, and some sweeteners from the game itself, just to give it that familiar Minecraft feel. So if you guys want to, you can actually go into the Minecraft Workshop Assets folder and look for Minecraft Default Sound Pack. And you can download the default sound pack right here. 1.12 sounds are all in here, and you can just download it just like so. This will be a zip folder, so you can go ahead and save it in your computer somewhere and extract it. It's going to go ahead and contain a sounds folder, and I'm going to extract that real quick, and we can look at exactly what's inside it, and you'll see how useful it is. So let's go ahead and navigate to the Minecraft Default Sounds Pack, Sound. Of course, all of these files are .ogg or .ogg files, so you're going to have to use VLC or something like that, but it should work just fine in Blender as well. So let's go right back into Blender to add some sounds to our scene. This is of course our animation. We play it back, there's no sound. Great, wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A and then add a sound this time. And of course we have all these different sounds we can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and go to Dig and then Cloth, because I think that the cake might sound a little bit like wool when you eat it. There we go. So it seems to me like the wool sound, the cloth sound actually works pretty well for the cake stab, so I think that's good. Of course, we should layer it a little bit because we don't just want one sound, we want several sounds to be layered on top. This is good sound design practice. So I'm going to try grass as well, just because usually cakes are slightly crunchy depending on, like there's little bits inside that kind of, maybe like some coconut flakes on top or whatever. Okay, that's pretty good, but I want to make the grass feel a lot lighter in terms of the sound volume, so I'm going to bring that down to like 0.1 or something like that, very subtle. Move this forward a little bit. I also want to go ahead and hit View and then Waveform Drawing. I want to turn on waveforms so that we can kind of see the beginning of the sound wave here, just so I can get an idea of what the sound looks like before I actually hear it. There we go. That seems pretty good. A combination of cloth and grass seems to be kind of cakey a little bit. I'm kind of feeling it. So let's go ahead and layer on a stab noise. Let's see, do we have anything that has to do with a deflecting noise or something like that? Do we have some combat in here? Node portal entity damage. Damage seems pretty good. Maybe we can get like a move it forward just a little bit. Move this down in terms of its volume to like 0.2 or something like that. There we go. That's pretty good. I also want to get a some sort of whoosh sound effect. If we can get a throw in there, that'd be awesome. And maybe some movement from him as well. Of course, he steps right here. This little footstep, as you can see here, he does take one step forward. That will have to be added as well. So we're going to go ahead and add that real quick because there is a step folder here. I'm going to go ahead and add any one of the stones should work fine. Perfect. So now that feels a lot more natural there. Okay. And then I'm going to bring this down to about 0.5 in terms of volume. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so then we want to add some water as well, because there is water around the scene. So we want to add that under liquid, water. Let's see, let's bring this in here somewhere like that. Perfect. I'm going to bring that volume down to 0.2 to make that more of an ambient and less of a focus. Perfect. Okay. And then the last thing that's left is a throw sound effect. So I want to get that in. So let's go ahead and look for a throw.ogg, which I believe is actually the only one that we have here is the Iron Golem throw. So we can actually bring that in here and put that around here-ish. That's pretty good, but I think we could do with a pitch change. I think it's good, but we want to repurpose the Iron Golem throw a little bit. So I'm going to bring the pitch down to 0.2. Actually, sorry, 1.2. Pretty good. Let's bring that up to like 2. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, 1.5, something like that. Just so we get the movement in the air represented audibly. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and bring that volume down to 0.5 just to make sure it's not too distracting. There we go. And then this this wind up here, I think deserves a little bit of attention. So I'm going to go ahead and add a cloth or something kind of like an idle sound of sorts. Let's see what we can use. Maybe a step with a cloth up too. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm going to bring the pitch down just a little bit to kind of extend it, just a little bit, like 0.3 or something like that. That's a bit low. Let's go ahead and bring that to 0.8 and see what that sounds like. Okay. And if you ever want to make it longer or shorter, you can actually just do this. Drag any one of the points, and you can kind of make them shorter or cut them however you need to. But yeah, adding these layers of sound is going to really help. Yeah, and that looks pretty good. I mean, this is a pretty basic sound pass for our scene, and I think it does the job. It gets the job done. So we're going to go ahead and end it here. I recommend looking up some sound design tutorials as well, just to learn the exact finesse of sound design, because that's also a very big subject, kind of like animation. So as long as you have these sounds at your disposal, and if you find more sounds online, I highly recommend that as well. Again, Minecraft does a great job already within its files, but of course you're going to want to add some sweeteners that are outside of Minecraft as well, which we don't have on us to provide to you. So we can give you the Minecraft sound files, but you'll have to find some extra sound files on your own. YouTube is a great source, so I highly recommend looking up some assets there. But with this, what we have here, it does a pretty good job in representing what's going on screen, as you can see. So with that, we're going to go ahead and start rendering it out now, because we have the image file and now we have the sound files in there. So we can actually render out an MP4 from this timeline. So this is going to be fantastic. We'll basically have the file ready at the end of this to upload to YouTube. So let's go ahead and go back to our render settings by hitting Control right arrow twice to go to the animation one, just because that's the closest one. And if we scroll all the way down here with our output, I can go ahead and just change this to FFmpeg and then go to encoding. I'm going to go ahead and use MP4 because that's what YouTube uses. And then for the audio codec, we can go ahead and use MP3. But yeah, once you have that, just go ahead and hit Control F12, and it should automatically render out your timeline from the video sequence editor instead of your actual animation. The only reason why it prioritizes the editor instead of your animation is because there's actually stuff in the editor. Whenever the video sequence editor has stuff in it, it will go ahead and render that out instead of the full animation and with all the light calculations and stuff like that. But it's the same hotkey. Now the reason for that, just in case you guys get confused with your settings and it doesn't work, this has to be checked on for the Control F12 or the render button to work with the sequencer. You just have to make sure the sequencer option is checked before you render that, so it will enter your image sequence into the MP4 file at the end. So that should be good. Let's go ahead and hit Control F11 to see how it turned out. Alright, perfect. So that's pretty good, but of course we can actually go to the file itself, which is right here, and play it in VLC as well, as you can see here. Works fantastically. The codec and everything works fine. The audio codec is there, and we can go ahead and upload that to YouTube now, and hopefully you guys will have a bunch of fun with that. I highly recommend sharing the stuff that you guys made here in the workshop comments, because I look forward to seeing your work. And yeah, that's about it for this workshop. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. And I hope you guys have a fun time making Minecraft animations, because I know I did when I started. So good luck, and I'll see you guys around.